And this is the Sherman Reservation for the Chickamauga and Chattanooga National Military Park by the National Park Service. This marker indicates the left of assault position of Ewings Division on November 25th, 1863. Here's another one of these granite ones. Unfortunately, I just really cannot read what it says on it, so I'm not sure which one this one is. If I can figure it out, I'll put the text on the screen or something. And another one of these right beside the other one that we just saw. Still can't read everything that it says on it. I can make out the November 25th, 1863, but I can't make out the top line. Here's the Illinois 55th Infantry, 1st Brigade, 2nd Division, and 15th Army Corps with Giles A. Smith, Morgan L. Smith, and Blair. Here's the Army of the Tennessee with Major General William T. Sherman, General Sherman's forces, excepting Osterhaus's division, which was engaged with Hooker at Lookout Mountain and Rossville, crossed the Tennessee northwest of this point early in the morning on the 24th. In the afternoon, supported by Davis's division of the 14th Corps and Bushbeck's brigade of the 11th Corps, and the column advanced and took possession of the north end of the ridge without opposition. Early on the 25th, the rest of the 11th Corps reported to General Sherman and was marched to Boyce's Station. And then there's actually a continuation to this one. Sherman's position on the ridge is now known as Sherman Heights, and that of the Confederates as Tunnel Hill, the two being separated by a deep gorge about 750 yards across. Sherman's attack began about 10 a.m. by a part of Lightburn's brigade advancing across the gorge and effecting a lodgment on the breastworks on the north end of Tunnel Hill, which had been abandoned early in the morning, from which, supported by Corse's brigade on its right, it made several unsuccessful assaults upon the Confederate line. Loomis's brigade was on Corse's right, and Bushbeck's brigade supporting. Toward 2 o'clock, the 27th Pennsylvania and one company of the 73rd of Bushbeck's brigade, followed by Matthey's brigade, assaulted the slope between Tunnel Hill and the North Point. They reached the crest, where they were soon joined by the front line of Rom's brigade, but after severe fighting were forced to withdraw. Giles A. Smith's brigade operated on the left spur of the ridge, but did not become engaged. Alexander's and Cockerill's brigades were left in position on Sherman Heights. The Confederate forces opposing General Sherman were posted around the high point of Tunnel Hill, and thence south along the crest to the high ground south of the tunnel. The 53rd Ohio Infantry, Cockerill's brigade, Ewings Division, 15th Corps, Colonel Wells S. Jones. On the morning of November 24th, this regiment with its brigade crossed the Tennessee River, and advancing with General Sherman's column in the afternoon, occupied the ridge beyond the north end of Missionary Ridge without opposition. During the 25th, the regiment supported a battery which was engaged with the enemy's artillery on Tunnel Hill. On the 26th, the regiment took part in the pursuit as far as Graysville. The regiment suffered no loss. Cockerill's brigade, Hugh Ewing's division, 15th Corps, Colonel Joseph R. Cockerill. The brigade crossed the Tennessee River on the morning of November 24th, advanced about 1 p.m., and late in the afternoon occupied the ridge about 1,000 yards northwest of this point, where by the morning of the 25th it had constructed a good line of works extending from the base to the top of the ridge facing south. On the 25th, it remained in the position taken on the 24th in support of a battery and had 3 men wounded by artillery fire. This is Earthworks, thrown up by G.A. Smith's brigade, night of November 25th, 1863. The 57th Ohio Infantry, Giles A. Smith's brigade, Lieutenant Colonel Samuel R. Mott, November 25th, 1863, reached this position about sunset on November 25th, 1863. This markers the 37th Ohio Infantry, Lightburn's brigade, Lieutenant Colonel Louis von Blessing, killed 5, wounded 33. This marker's for the 54th Ohio Infantry, Light Burns Brigade, Major Robert Williams, Jr., November 26, 1863. This regiment crossed the Tennessee River in the afternoon of the 25th and was held in reserve. This marker's for the 47th Ohio Infantry, Light Burns Brigade, M.L. Smith's Division, 15th Corps, Colonel Augustus C. Perry, November 25, 1863. About 4 p.m. on November 24th, the 47th, in advancing against this hill from the one to the north, encountered the enemy in the ravine between these positions. At 9 a.m. of the 25th, the regiment supported the advance to this crest, holding position as a reserve and protection to the left flank throughout the day, and until the withdrawal of the enemy. Casualties. Wounded were 3 men. Lowrey's Brigade, Cleburne's Division, Breckinridge's Corps, Brigadier General Mark P. Lowrey. This is November 24th and 25th of 1863. He had the 16th Alabama, the 33rd Alabama, the 45th Alabama, and the 32nd and 45th Mississippi. In the afternoon of the 24th, the brigade extended Cleburne's division line on the ridge south of the tunnel. Late in the afternoon, by order of General Hardee, 2 regiments of the brigade occupied the elevated east spur of the ridge about 900 yards northeast of this position. And on the morning of the 25th, the 2 remaining regiments of the brigade left near the tunnel, completing Cleburne's division line to the Chickamauga. The brigade had no artillery and was not engaged except in heavy skirmishing with a long-range flank fire from the left of the brigade on Union troops assaulting Tunnel Hill from the north. No losses given. Soon after dark, the brigade attacked and drove back the Union skirmishes in its front and retired across the Chickamauga. And this marker is for Illinois, 116th Infantry, 1st Brigade, Giles A. Smith, 2nd Division, Morgan L. Smith, and the 15th Army Corps, Blair. And this one is Illinois, 127th Infantry, 1st Brigade, Giles A. Smith, 2nd Division, Morgan L. Smith, 15th Army Corps, Blair. And we have another Illinois, 63rd Infantry, 1st Brigade, Alexander, 2nd Division, John E. Smith, 17th Army Corps, McPherson. This one is Alexander's Brigade. It says about 1 p.m. November 24th, the brigade advanced from the Tennessee River, the 4th Minnesota in front of skirmishers, and at nightfall had seized the ridge 900 yards northwest of this point, and 2 guns of the 6th Wisconsin Battery were placed in position on top of the ridge. At 10 a.m. of the 25th, the 48th Indiana and 63rd Illinois were sent to support General Lightburn's brigade on its left and front. Later in the day, the 63rd Illinois relieved the 30th and 37th Ohio near this point. The brigade had 4 wounded. Then here's the Giles A. Smith Brigade. On the morning of the 25th, the brigade moved from near Boyce's Station southwestward about 800 yards, then southward about 500 yards on the high spur northeast of this point until it came in contact with the skirmishers of Lowrey's Confederate Brigade. When it crossed the narrow valley westward to the Lightburn Hill, whom it descended at its southern extremity, and near sunset moved to this line and relieved Corse's brigade and part of Lightburn's and entrenched. And you need to see where this thing actually is. There's the previous marker we just looked at. Man, this is a hill. They really put this one down a hill. Wright's Brigade, Cheatham's Division, Hardee's Corps, Brigadier General Marcus J. Wright. Leaving the 33rd Tennessee at Charleston, Tennessee, 4 regiments arrived at Chickamauga Station during the morning of the 24th, was joined by Kolb's Alabama Battery at the Stone Bridge on Southern Railroad, and proceeded toward the mouth of the Chickamauga to resist the advance of Sherman's column. Polk's Brigade. About noon on the 24th, when it was discovered that Sherman had crossed the Tennessee River opposite the north end of the ridge, the brigade was ordered from its position on the ridge south of the Shallow Ford Road to the Stone Bridge over the Southern Railroad, about 1.5 miles east of this position. 2 regiments and a section of Semple's Battery were ordered to occupy the commanding hill immediately north of the bridge, with the remainder of the brigade and battery posted near the bridge. On the 25th, the brigade was supported on its left by Wright's brigade of Cheatham's Division and Skocum's Georgia Battery. The brigade and battery were not engaged and sustained no losses. And this marker is Cleburne's division, Breckinridge's corps, Major General Patrick R. Claiborne. Smith's brigade held the center knoll north of the tunnel, 1 regiment being posted along the crest facing west, and the rest of the brigade on this line facing north. Govan's brigade was posted on the spur, putting out to the east. The 9th Kentucky of Lewis's brigade of Breckinridge's division filled an interval between Smith's right and Govan's left. The remainder of the brigades supporting various parts of the line, Lowrey's brigade, was posted on the high spur in front of and to the right of Govan. General Polk's brigade was posted on a hill beyond the Chickamauga, overlooking the bridge over the creek. On the line, there were the batteries of Calvert directly over the tunnel, Douglas's battery on Govan's line, and Sweat's with Smith's brigade. The Union attacks were concentrated on Tunnel Hill and were vigorous from 10 o'clock in the morning until 4 p.m. The position was maintained until the close of the battle. Claiborne's division, Hardee's corps, Major General Patrick R. Cleburne. The artillery battalion, commanded by Major T.R. Hotchkiss, was composed of the Arkansas Battery, Calvert's Lieutenant Thomas J. Key, Texas Battery, Captain James P. Douglas, Alabama Battery, Semple's, Lieutenant Richard W. Goldwaite, and Sweat's Mississippi Battery, Lieutenant H. Shannon. This division reached the eastern base of Missionary Ridge from Chickamauga Station in the evening of November 23rd. It had reached the latter station on its way to report to General Longstreet at Knoxville. At dawn of the 24th, it began to throw up earthworks along the crest of the ridge from General Bragg's headquarters to the Shallow Ford Road. At 2 p.m., it was dispatched in haste to Tunnel Hill to confront General Sherman's forces. At that hour, there were no Confederate forces on Missionary Ridge between General Claiborne's right and Tunnel Hill. The head of the division reached that point at 2:30 p.m. Well, we're about to finish up the Crest Road historical markers, and so I hope you've enjoyed these. Let me know what you've liked about the series, and like, subscribe, and we'll see you in a future episode.